Hello and welcome back to the Ahenfie Rabbitry, where we focus on commercial scale rabbit farming for meat. Today we want to have a conversation about how to successfully wean your rabbits to ensure zero or near zero mortality. How you can successfully wean your rabbits so that none will die or you don't lose many of your kids. You get very excited when you have new rabbits or you have kids on your farm. But the process or the time when you have to take them off their mother and let them start life on their own, feeding themselves, is one of the most critical stages in a young rabbit's life. So today, we want to talk about how not to lose your rabbits when you wean them. For most farmers, weaning have been the most challenging step in their rabbit farming adventure, since often young rabbits are lost in the process of weaning. At Ahenfie Rabbitry, we also used to have the same problem until we discovered some of the best practices as far as weaning is concerned to ensure that we successfully wean all our young rabbits without losing them. If you don't ensure some practices or adhere to certain practices, you are likely to lose all your young rabbits when you wean them. And once we discover that, currently, no rabbit dies when we wean our kids. No rabbit. Very, very rarely will any rabbit die when we are weaning. And today we want to share this secret, the secrets we have learned in weaning with you. If you stay till the end of this video, we shall reveal every hidden secret we have discovered in rabbit weaning that drastically changed our success rate from the days when we used to lose almost half our litter or sometimes the entire litter to the current state where we successfully wean without any mortality. But first, we want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers and viewers. Your support for this channel has been phenomenal, and we sincerely appreciate you for that. If you are new to this channel, we encourage you to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that whenever we upload new content, you will be notified so that you can watch and grow your rabbit farming or your rabbit enterprise. We are constantly releasing highly informative and educative content that is tailored and designed to help you succeed in your rabbit farming. We want to have as many people, we want to encourage as many people as are willing and interested to go into rabbit farming so that we can together bring this highly nutritious, healthy meat, rabbit meat, to its rightful place in the Ghanaian cuisine. Now let's get into the video for today. One of the most critical stages in the life of any rabbit is the weaning stage. This is the stage where the bunnies transition from depending on mother's milk to solely feeding on solid foods. This stage is critical because it is one of the most vulnerable stages where a rabbit can easily die. If you have been doing rabbit farming for some time, you would agree with me that if this stage is not managed properly, the farmer can lose all the bunnies, and this obviously affects profitability of your rabbit farming business. This was one of the main reasons why we at Ahenfie Rabbitry became discouraged in our first rabbit farming enterprise and led to the decision of shutting down the entire program so that we can start it all over again. We were losing animals. Sometimes we lose 5, sometimes we can lose 8 bunnies in a single day simply because we were winning. In fact, there was a day that we lost 12 bunnies, and it was such a sad and painful experience that we just told ourselves the whole thing was not worth it. We couldn't even imagine how other rabbit farmers were surviving, because if every farmer was losing so many rabbits every time they were winning, how could they still be in business? Well, we learned some things that have helped us so far and has completely eradicated this problem of rabbits dying during weaning. And that's what we want to share with you. Because on this channel, we are advocating for more farmers to go into rabbitry and into rabbit farming. And if we know something that can help you to succeed, we want to bring it to your doorstep or to your attention so that in case you are facing a similar challenge, you would also overcome. Now, this is because, like I said, I have spoken with many farmers who have equally become discouraged. Most people have actually closed their farms. They've shut it down because of this very problem of losing rabbits during the weaning stage. So the first reason we want to talk about why people lose bunnies during weaning is the age at which they wean the rabbits. The age at which the bunnies are weaned is a critical factor in the survival of your bunnies. But it is not the most important reason why people lose their rabbits. If you stay with me to the end, I am going to show you the single most important reason. If you can deal with that, it doesn't matter whether you win your rabbit at 2 days old. Although we don't say do that. But what I mean is this factor alone contributes to over 95% of the reasons why we lose bunnies during weaning. And if you can address that, if you can solve that, you would be in good business as far as rabbit weaning is concerned. So stick with me, it is going to come up eventually. But I was talking about the age of your rabbits. If you wean your rabbit at a very young age, you are putting them in grave danger. Now, this here, I say it with caveats because the age at which you can successfully wean rabbits varies greatly. But you must know what you are doing. You must be very, very cautious about what you want to achieve if you do this. Because in the wild, for example, the bunnies are abandoned by their mother at around 4 weeks. And this is because as soon as the mother kindles, it is bred again by the bucks. In the wild, breeding is not as controlled as we do in our domesticated farms. But as soon as the animal delivers, a buck may come in and breed it again. And because of that, by the time it is nearing delivery, it doesn't want to stay with the bunnies that it had delivered previously. So it's going to abandon the entire nest and go on somewhere else to burrow a new hole and deliver the new kids inside. And that is why most of the wild bunnies die. Most rabbits in the wild lose bunnies. Bunnies die simply because they are abandoned quite early in life and they can even be a target for predators or they may suffer other consequences, diseases because they are so young and they may die. But you and I, as commercial scale rabbit farmers, we have to first of all decide on the farming system we want to adopt. If you wean your rabbits too early, you may incur some losses. And it doesn't also make a lot of economic sense to wean your rabbits too old. Because if you're a commercial scale farmer, you have a program, you have an agenda, and your turnaround is directly linked to your profitability. So you need to find that fine balance where you wean your rabbits at a reasonably old age, but also not too old so as to delay your production cycle. Now, depending on the farming system you are adopting, you can wean your rabbits at different ages. You can wean your rabbits at 28 to 30 days of age if you are doing intensive breeding. Intensive breeding is when you wean your rabbits at 28 to 30 days of age. That means that you are expecting your doe to deliver again very soon. But you have to be very careful. We don't endorse this kind of weaning unless you really know what you are doing. And we will give you some information. If you feel you want to test it out, you can try. But if you are doing semi-intensive system of farming, for example, you may choose to wean your rabbit between 35 to 40 days. of life. And you can win. You can win your rabbits in 35 to 40 days successfully if you really go about it the right way. But there are also people who do a very extensive kind of breeding system where they wean their rabbits at, say, 45 days of age. In most broiler farms, we have broiler rabbits, just like you have broiler chickens or chicken. In most broiler rabbit farms, they are milk fed until 50 to 60 days of age when they are slaughtered. But we don't do that. We slaughter our animals between 12 to 16 weeks of age. So here at the Ahenfie Rabbitry, we wean our bunnies at 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And that is 42 days. And frankly speaking, we don't really lose much in terms of time, because what happens is that we breed our does at 4 weeks into the delivery. After they are delivered, when the kids are 4 weeks, we breed the doe. And we allow the kids to stay with the doe for an additional 2 weeks. So one of the best practices that we have adopted, and we encourage other farmers who are interested to adopt, is to, when you're weaning, not to take all the bunnies away from the mother at the same time. What we do is that we select the strongest and the biggest bunnies, and we start the weaning process with them. So at 6 weeks, we go into the cage and we take out the big and the strong ones, and we isolate them. We take them somewhere not too far away from mama rabbit, because emotionally, you also want to make sure that the animals don't feel too isolated from mama. So what we do is that we put them in a cage that is a little bit closer to where mama rabbit is. We don't always succeed at doing this, because sometimes the cages near the door are not available. They are not vacant. But often when it is possible, we ensure that we have the bunnies, when we are weaning, we have the bunnies a bit closer to where they can still either smell or see their mother. It doesn't mean that this is the only way to do it, but we have found that just by gradually taking them off the mama's emotional support also kind of eases up a bit for them the whole transition process. And that is why we normally we make room such that, if possible, the bunnies are just moved to a cage that is either just opposite mama's cage or just next door the doe's cage. And hopefully that kind of eases up a bit the experience for them. So we don't encourage weaning at very young age. And we are also commercial farmers, so we don't encourage people to keep their animals with mama rabbit for too long before they wean, because often when bunnies are with mama rabbit, sometimes it is not so easy to breed them. And so you have to find a balance. You have to find a balance. But we advocate 42 days, and we have seen that this works, because at that age, the animals are almost feeding solid foods entirely. They may go in and suck breast milk just a little bit, but they are more or less dependent more on solid foods from that stage. So when you take them off from mama, they don't often become too affected. They are now going to easily transition, and that helps them a lot. The other reason why people lose bunnies or farmers lose bunnies is something I've already hinted on, but now I want to elaborate a bit more on. And that is taking all your bunnies from the mother rabbit at the same time. The reason is, sometimes when they are born, naturally, some of them are bigger than others. If you want to give all your bunnies a fair fighting chance at life, you don't isolate, you don't take them off the mother rabbit at the same time. And the reason is that if you leave the weaker ones or the smaller ones with the mother rabbit for a few more days, just a few more days, you will be surprised at the pace at which they will catch up, or they will grow to catch up with those that you have initially isolated, because they are stronger and bigger. Leaving just one or two small or weaker rabbits with the mother rabbit helps in a way that it minimizes competition for the milk, the little milk that is left to dry. It minimizes competition for them. They also kind of help mother rabbits to dry off more slowly so that it doesn't cause mastitis. Otherwise, if you take all the kids away from mama rabbit at the same time too quickly, there can be what we call mastitis, which is inflammation or, if you like, painful tits. The breasts of the rabbit can swell or can get infected because the milk is getting stuck, or the milk is stuck, and there are no kids to feed on it. And they are going to benefit from that extra space, that extra room, without having to compete with the stronger and the bigger bunnies that they were born with. And so this is very key. That means that you are going to give this weaker or smaller rabbit a better fighting chance when you eventually add it to the others that you had weaned earlier. So we recommend that you wean your rabbit in stages. You wean the bigger ones, the stronger ones first, and then later on, a few days later, you bring the weaker ones or the smaller one, by which time we believe they would have gained a little bit more and they would be much, much stronger, and then they can compete better. You bring them back to the cage. So that is another thing that we have noticed contributes to later losses. The When you take all at the same time, if you are not careful, you are bound to lose the weaker or the smaller bunnies. The other reason, again, this is still not the one most critical reason why most people lose their bunnies when they wean. The other reason, which is also very, very critical, why most people lose bunnies, or most farmers lose bunnies when they wean, is because of feeding. Is because of feeding. The feeding and water is very, very critical at this stage of weaning. Now, if you don't feed well, you are also going to cause a lot of losses to your bunnies. You must feed your weaned bunnies with a lot of fiber. They need good amount of fiber, digestible fiber. You have to minimize starches and allow them to have as much fiber as possible, because fiber allows the food to pass through their digestive system much, much more smoothly, and it helps them to clean up their system. If you don't allow enough fiber in their diet, it can lead to diarrhea. Now, we have been told, many people have told us that when we wean our rabbits, we must use coccidiostats and other things like that. I have to be honest with you that on this farm, we have never weaned with any coccidiostats. And that is because we just adhere to these simple best practices that I'm showing you. We wean at age 6 weeks. We wean gradually by taking the strongest and the biggest first out of the cage, allowing the smaller ones to catch up a little bit by spending more time with mother rabbits. We win by supplying them with a lot of hay, dry grass. And here I am talking about turf grass. Maybe you can use other kinds of grasses, but for us, we have noticed that the turf grass does wonders for us. This was introduced to us by a friend, one of our friends who has been an extremely good advisor to us on our rabbit farming journey. You know, we are always learning. We are learning from people who have good things to teach us. And so if you are here and you do your winning differently and you are succeeding, please put it in the comment section to help other farmers and to help us also at Ahenfie Rabbitry to do even better. You know, we are always learning. And this farmer, this rabbit farmer that we learned this from, he just said, oh, give them turf grass when you are weaning. It helps. And we started doing that. and we have noticed that it has been working wonders. Turf grass, it works wonders. These are, you see, they don't seem to provide so much nutrition, but they help with fiber. The fiber that they provide the animals is phenomenal, and that is what allows the passage of food through their digestive system with ease and to ensure their survival. Because if food doesn't pass through with ease, they may end up getting either bloated, or sometimes it offsets their stomach and they may end up getting diarrhea. So we want to encourage farmers who are having challenges with weaning to practice these things we have talked about. And now I want to go on to the single most important factor. I can't overemphasize this. The single most important factor that you have to consider, that you have to understand, that you have to deal with when you are weaning your rabbit and you want them to survive. The single most important factor is stress. Stress. I cannot overstress it. Stress is your number one enemy when you are weaning rabbits. Stress is your number one enemy when you are weaning rabbits. Let me say it for the last time. Stress is your number one enemy when you are weaning your rabbits. Let me take a few minutes for the rest of the video to unpack this issue of stress and mortality in rabbit weaning. So just hang on with me. Let me get into some scientific basis why when you stress your animals or anything that stresses your bunnies during weaning is the biggest factor to mortality as far as losses during weaning is concerned. Stress is your major enemy when you are weaning rabbits, and your ability as a farmer to manage stress very well for your rabbits is what will determine whether or not you succeed in weaning them without any mortality. Why is this important? Why is stress? Now, people define stress differently. You know, we use stress in many cases. We say, oh, I'm stressed, or you are stressing me, or I feel stressed. Stress is basically anything that causes worry or causes tension, be it mentally or physically or emotionally. That is what we would define stress to be. So your rabbit bunnies, when they are being weaned, sometimes also undergo a lot of stress. This stress is mainly due to one, separation from their mother, where they feel they would have felt emotional connection, and all that mother's attention is now gone, and so they feel stressed by that. The second thing is the deprivation or the absence of mother's breast milk that is going to now be their reality. They are going to have to live a new life where they entirely depend on solid feed or food for their survival without the occasional mother's milk to supplement their diet. Now, when this happens, it causes a retention or a slow in the passage of feed through their digestive system. And that causes something we call cottrophy to cease. Cottrophy is something in rabbits where they, let's take something like a goat or a cow. They do something we call chewing of cud. They chew cud. When they go, after they have eaten, they will go and lie under some tree or in the shade. And before you realize, they have pushed back the food that they have already swallowed. And then they push it back into their mouth and they start chewing on it again and again and again. And that process allows the food to be properly digested. And it also allows more nutrients to be absorbed in the food that they have eaten. Rabbits do not chew cud, but they have something they do that is quite similar, and it is called cottrophy. This process, rabbits would usually pass out the food they have eaten in a certain form, and it comes out like feces, but it is not feces. because feces, rabbit feces are quite different from what I'm trying to describe as cottropes. This semi-digested rabbit food comes out through like the normal way that a feces will come out, but it is very soft and lumpy, and rabbits will eat that thing back and redigest it and absorb more nutrients from it. Because most animals that feed on plants that are less nutritious have a way of getting more from it than if it just passes through the system once. And in rabbits, this is one of the ways. Now, when you wean rabbits and they are stressed, this process ceases. It ceases because there is a slowdown in the passage of food through their digestive system. So one of the first things that happens is that psychotropy ceases, or psychotrophy ceases. When psychotrophy ceases, you are limiting the nutrition that the rabbit gets. They have already moved off mother's milk, which gives them quite a lot of nutrition. They are trying to survive on their own, feeding themselves on only solid food. And the nutrition that should keep them healthy and strong is also being diminished because of stress. That is one very, very crucial thing. The next thing that happens when they are stressed is that the pH, or the acid content of their stomach, is reduced. This reduction in acid content in their stomach makes the stomach becomes a little bit more alkaline. Now, alkaline simply means that it is not acid or neutral. It has moved a bit towards the opposite side of acid. This condition causes a lot of bacteria that are disease causing to multiply. They multiply. The disease causing bacteria will start to multiply, and their multiplication can cause several conditions to your rabbits. One of them is diarrhea, and sometimes it could also lead to bloating. And all these can be very fatal to your rabbits. So you, as the farmer, you must be very, very mindful of these things. One of the easiest ways you can minimize this or prevent this from happening is by giving your animal food or feed that is rich in fiber. Feed that is rich in fiber. If you give it starchy foods, it is only going to aggravate the condition. It's going to increase the alkaline nature of the stomach, and it will cause more harmful bacteria to grow, and it will cause your animal to either bloat or get diarrhea, and it may die. But if you give it food that is rich in fiber, you cause an increase in the motility or the movement of the feed or the food through the digestive system or the intestine, and that prevents diarrhea, it prevents bloating, and guess what? It keeps your rabbits alive. It keeps your bunnies alive. And that, for me, is the biggest secret in weaning rabbits successfully. Winning rabbits successfully. Understanding the causes of these things and managing them very well as a farmer so that your animals do not suffer the consequences. As I said, stress is the biggest cause of mortality during weaning of rabbits. And the farmer can help a lot by ensuring that the animal has adequate nutrition and also adequate fiber in the diet. So this has been our video on how to successfully wean your rabbits and to ensure that you succeed with zero mortality or almost zero mortality. Because sometimes you can't help it. There are conditions or circumstances you can't control, and you may lose one or two animals when you win. But if you follow the guidelines we have given you, number one, ensuring that you win at ages where the animals are a bit older and not be so profit conscious to wean at too early age. But if you have to do intensive breeding for maybe escaping the adverse weather conditions, then we recommend that you stagger breastfeeding, such that you take the animals off and you bring them back, take them off, bring them back, take them off for short periods until you completely wean them off. A process we call gradual weaning. That is the other thing you can do. We have also talked about making sure that the feed you give the animal is rich in fiber with all the adequate nutrition. We have also talked about making sure that when you wean, you don't wean all the animals at the same time. If there is an animal that is weaker or smaller than the others, you leave it with the you leave it with the mother for a few more days so that it can get the last bit of the breast milk as it dries up. It's beneficial for the mother, it's beneficial for this young rabbit, and it's beneficial for you, the farmer, because you don't lose that animal and you get a healthy doe as well to be ready to take care of the next bunnies when they come. And if you follow the Ahenfie Rabbitry approach, where we breed our mother doe at 4 weeks of after delivery, then this doesn't really cost you much time, because you are not losing time. You are actually maximizing time. And so these are some of the things we would encourage you to do, or we want to share with you. If you're a rabbit farmer and you follow, you are going to have good success in your weaning. If you are new to this channel, we encourage you to subscribe, share, and like our video. We have other videos on this channel that are targeted towards helping farmers to succeed in rabbit farming. And so we encourage you to check them out. You will be glad you did. It will be a great investment of your time and you won't regret it. Until we meet again here, cheers for now and bye-bye.